And the registrations number was not where I wanted it to be. We were like, averaging 45 per session. I wanted to be more like 75 to 100. When we made this change, we were able to increase our average registrations from that like low 45 number to like 376.
Wow. Per episode.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Welcome to the Show Me the Data podcast by LeadSift, where every week we get marketing and sales leaders from fast-growing B2B tech companies to share specific tactics they use to drive revenue for their business. The best part, they share the exact metrics and data points behind each of their tactics. I'm your host, Tukan, the co-founder and CEO of LeadSift. See you there.
Hello, everyone. This is Tukan from LeadSift here with another episode of Show Me the Data podcast. My guest today is Hana Jacover. She's a director of demand gen at MadKudu's. Welcome to the show, Hana.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Cool. So before we get started, Hana, if you want to give a quick high-level overview of what you guys do at MadKudu's, I'm guessing a lot of our audience already knows, but it'll be great if you can give a quick high-level overview of MadKudu's, and then we'll get into the topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope people know. That would be ideal. So yeah, we are a predictive marketing intelligence platform, and what that means is we're bringing together kind of the modern data stack, as we like to call it. So thinking about like your snowflakes, your lookers, and then also over here your third-party data like Bombora and G2, as well as your sales and marketing stack. So whatever your CRM is, your marketing automation system. And then we're using all of this intelligence to really provide a layer of, or we're using all of this data to provide a layer of intelligence that allows teams to just work really much more intelligently and faster, because they're able to use, leverage predictive lead scoring and insights on funnel performance and value-based automation and things like that to really kind of customize the journey and prioritize properly and effectively.
Got it. So you guys are then quite a bit more than just a lead scoring platform.
You got it. Yes, we're much, much more than that.
Great. Very good. So I guess today's topic is particularly of interest to us because we also do, we don't call it a series, we call it a podcast, but we're going to talk about this. So you guys have a very successful series that you call it Marketing Operations Confession web series. Instead of calling it a podcast, you call it a series or a show. Why that distinction? Why don't you go the podcast route? Why this?
Yeah, I love this question because I think that I did it somewhat subconsciously because I needed the flexibility, right? Like this is a new experiment, a new program for us. So first and foremost, I needed the flexibility to create it or allow it to be whatever it ended up being. And so I felt that there were too many expectations already around the word podcast. And so in order, in addition to that, in order to like really make sure that this was something unique, we needed to sort of redefine what that something was. So again, it allows people to just kind of see it as a fresh thing. Like, oh, I don't know what it is. I have zero expectations around this program. It's not anything like I've seen before. So we can really make it whatever we want. So it gives people kind of this fresh perspective, and it also gives us the flexibility and remove some of those guardrails that I may have had if I'd call it a podcast, for example.
Understood. It definitely stands out and unique. I'll give you that. And there are a few things that you are doing that is super interesting. So let's get into it. What are you? You guys are 17 episodes in or shows in right now?
Yeah, I think we just had our 16th or 17th. We just kicked off season 3 yesterday.
Season 3. Nice. Cool. So now let's talk about first the setup of the event. I guess the most important thing to begin with is the content of the discussion, and you guys bring a host, or not a host, a guest every time. So can you talk me through how are you guys deciding who to bring on as a guest on the show?
Yeah, absolutely. So and we do this monthly because and this has changed a little bit, but we try to secure speakers every month. So every other month, I have a block where a couple of weeks, like 30 to 40% of my time is spent on speaker sourcing for the next season.
Wow.
Yeah, and we really lean into our networks first and foremost because we are an organization that believes so strongly in relationships and have been able to build relationships over time. So we lean into that. And we also do a lot of research on who are the top thought leaders in marketing ops, because we're not just focused on necessarily like the most popular people. We're also focused on the people that are really kind of gaining traction because they are providing solid insights and kind of using their voice in a unique way. So we do some research around that, and then kind of from there just create a list of who the ideal folks to have on would be. So we have that list, and then we also have goals in place of, for this season, let's get 3 to 4 big names, one customer, and within those big names we might have a few target accounts as well. So we're thinking about it through both of those lenses and then kind of combining to see, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm busy, I can't do it. Or, they have to push it out. So we have to maintain some flexibility, but that's kind of the high level of how we approach it.
Understood. So you are looking that's very smart. So there is definitely a target account sales or account-based approach plus thought leaders with good content. And you also mentioned people that you try to bring in, they already have a voice, meaning they're already putting a unique content on their own. And this is another channel that they will share their thoughts. So that is an important angle of you deciding who the speaker would be. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And because when we thought of this program too, it really truly is about the marketing operations audience. It's not about MadKudu trying to be that voice. It's about MadKudu trying to amplify that voice. So we're really trying to make sure that the speakers who we're wanting to have on the show are doing that for the marketing ops community. And we're just simply giving them a platform because we believe in what they're saying and we believe it to be very true. And our product obviously aligns with that as well.
Amazing. And you guys typically sell into, or users of your product are marketing operations people.
Yeah, it's one of our key personas. We have several, but that is one community and role that is a user, right? Like they're the ones in the back end making it work, understanding how the tool connects to every piece of the business. So it's a very important champion for us.
Understood. Now, once you have decided on the speaker, how do you decide on the exact topic of each episode?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we did a lot of research early on and validation just kind of within the community, even, looking towards our advisors and internally, externally, to come up with some topics that we wanted to broadly focus on. We also set the goal of making sure that we're not going after necessarily kind of the why or the this versus that. We wanted this to be like, if you have a strong opinion, if you have a hot take on something, like we want you to bring that. We want this to be kind of out of the box confessions, right? If the speakers are passionate about a topic and there's a potential kind of debate there, like that's what we really wanted to go after. So we crafted our topics around that. So we knew, yes, we want to talk about tech stack. Yes, we want to talk about how to level up as a marketing ops leader, but we dig into that and think about what's not working and where's the debate between, whether this works or this version works, and let's dig into what these people think.
Yeah, no, that's very smart. Speaking of things, changing up things that you do, one of the things I noticed were you change up the host pretty regularly. What's the reasoning behind that? Because normally we see, anytime someone is doing, whether it's a podcast or some kind of a video series, they have the same host interviewing different guests. But you guys have changed that. What's the rationale behind that?
Yeah, and this actually kind of goes back into your previous question is, the content is ultimately led by the speaker, right? We have these high level topics, but then we have a conversation with the speaker. And understand from them, what they're passionate about, what their hot takes are. And that's going to help us then craft the conversation. But then we also pair that speaker with a host that makes sense. So looking at our team and the people that, are available to host, we typically have like 4 or 5 different people that we lean on. We pair whether it's, background of like, yes, I know for myself, like I'm going to want to talk about demand generation. I'm going to want to talk about, working with marketing, working with sales, that kind of alignment. Whereas our co-founder, Sam, might want to talk about sales operations, whereas our other co-founder might want to dig into more of the data and analytics side. So it only makes sense for us to pair these conversations with the people that are equipped to have them based on their experience and expertise.
I love it. That's a great idea, actually. Well, now let's go level down. What's the tech stack you guys are using? Because I see there are emojis and heart signs and polls that can be done. What do you use?
Yes, that's actually one of my favorite features of our platform is the emojis. I love emojis. We use LiveTorm for the actual webinar. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's a great tool, really intuitive. It's fun to use. It makes it feel like more of a hangout because you can, it's really easy to engage in the chat. You can not engage in the chat, but still show reactions with the emoji. So you don't have to necessarily be like the one that's typing and asking all the questions. You can still show some love and show some support via these emojis. So yeah, we love that tool. And then the back end of it is a little bit more complicated. So we have our registration page hosted on Webflow on our website, but we're actually using a HubSpot form there. So folks who are registering are then pushed to HubSpot. And then we actually have to use, a glue there. So we use Zapier to kind of glue HubSpot and LiveTorm together. And this is unique because you can totally just use a LiveTorm form and make that setup a little bit easier. But we wanted the ability for people to register for multiple sessions at one time. And so we had to get a little bit of creative in order to accomplish this. And we were able to do so by connecting HubSpot, using a HubSpot form, using a custom field on that form, having some workflows in place that then talk to Zapier and tell Zapier and LiveTorm like where those registrations should go.
Amazing.
And the reason we did that is because we did at the start of the program, we were just allowing for single session registrations. And the registrations number was not where I wanted it to be. We were like, averaging 45 per session. I wanted to be more like 75 to 100. When we made this change, we were able to increase our average registrations from that like low 45 number to like 376.
Wow. Per episode.
Yeah.
And I'm going to dig into that a little bit, but what percentage of them are unique versus the similar group of people that are consuming this content?
Yeah, that's a good question. So unique as in each session?
Exactly. So for example, let's say I signed up today for this episode, and then am I the same person who's registering it for again? And do you count it as 2, or would you count it as unique, like only take the unique user?
Yeah, we're looking at total registration.
Yeah.
Because we don't care if you already registered for this session and you are registering for a second session. It still tells us a lot. It still tells us that, you're excited about the series, you're engaged. And then we get to say, but did you go? Like, did you attend? And that's also very telling. So that's not necessarily unique. So you could go on, register for all, and then you would show as a registration for, each session.
Understood. Now talking about this, a key word you used, registration. Podcast or these kind of things do not ever have a registration. But you guys are, again, which you mentioned there was, this is something unique, something that gives you the flexibility. So you decided to put up a registration form in front so that people can register for these sessions. Walk us through that thought process and why did you do that?
Yeah. I think it was trying to really focus on our key goal and our North Star. And our North Star from a marketing perspective, or at least one of them, is qualified conversions. And the way we define that is by using MadKudu. It's nice because I'm not necessarily the one making this definition up, which is great. It is MadKudu telling us the fit of these people, of these leads. So I'm not just looking at total leads. I'm looking at, but of those leads, how many are qualified? How many are a good or very good fit? If they're good or very good fit, that's much more indicative to me of them, having a successful journey downstream.
100%.
So the reason why we wanted to capture these names is to track our qualified conversions and obviously generate more qualified conversions. And we were a little torn because we were like, well, we definitely want to make the sessions available ungated. So what's the point? Why would people want to sign up? So in order to kind of figure out that balance, we've done a lot of experimentation around different incentives. So we introduced incentives to those who actually register and attend the sessions. So then they're actually getting something out of it. Not only do they have the chance to win something really fun like a Yeti cooler or a one subscription or a drone. Yeah.
Saw that.
And this month we're doing, $25 lunch cards for every attendee. So that's an incentive that we're experimenting every season. We switch it up, but also we're thinking about like them actually being able to show up and ask questions live to these experts is a really big pull, and we encourage that when we're promoting too. Like if you're not watching it live, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to ask Sarah McNamara all of the questions that you want, which is crazy.
Yeah, about personal branding and everything. That makes sense. It is a bold step to be doing registering, but if you're getting 370 registrants, obviously it's working. So now let's move a little bit down funnel for this. How are you promoting these sessions? Like what are the strategies and channels you are using to promote these shows?
Yeah, it's nothing out of the ordinary, really. We focus, our organic channels, pretty standard, main focus on LinkedIn. We do have a presence on Twitter as well. We also send out emails to our database. We try to do that on a season end basis. So like when we're promoting the new season. And again, like we've done some iterations of this, but we found what works best is to do the announcement every season. And then our partners are really important. Those that are actually coming on and the guests really.
They would promote it.
Yeah. So we also look for guests that do have, a large following and are active. You could have a large following and not be active. We've seen that happen where we had these expectations and then we're like, okay, well, they're not active. So being active is most important and setting them up for success. So giving them the tools to actually promote the session. And then we do also run ads on LinkedIn as well, which have performed, really great. In the first 30 days of those ads, we had, above average click-throughs, above average CPMs and cost per clicks, and across the campaign. And then nearly like for our best creative, we had like a 1% click-through rate, which is really high.
That is pretty high. So you mentioned that you also send emails. Just wanted to ask that. You send an email to your database. Do you do it every week when there is a show going on, or do you do it at the start of the season?
Yeah, so that was one of the iterations that I mentioned. So we were initially, when we had single session registrations, we felt like, okay, well, in order to boost the registrations, we're going to have to promote these weekly via email. And then, of course, we started seeing like, we wanted to respect the inbox, right? Like as soon as we started seeing some like unsubscribes or like lack of registrations tied to emails go up, we said, this isn't working. So then that's what made us decide to shift to the season promotion where we're making sure we have all the speakers at once. We have the giveaway ready to go, package that up. And that's the promotion that we send out. So it's more like, once a month or once every other month, we're sending out like two of those promotions.
Got it. And how many episodes per season are you doing? 8, is it?
So it typically is in line with, the 2 months. So 8, I think that there's some like short months in there, but yeah.
Got it. Okay, so now we're really getting to the lowest of the funnel. So so this is from a core objective, the North Star metric that you mentioned, that is qualified conversion. If that is the KPI that you're striving for, outside of, obviously providing value, building the brand, but from a revenue perspective, can you talk a little bit about, what kind of numbers are you guys seeing from, registrants to qualified conversions to demos or whatever you guys are tracking?
Yeah, absolutely. So, our average number of registrations across the board for, it's been 2 quarters now, is around 240. And then the average number of attendees is a bit trickier because it is a weekly program. So we really had to adjust our expectations, and we weren't going to see the typical like 20 to 30% attendance rate.
Yeah.
While, 20% on that low end is more so our goal. And we have a lot of experiments in place to try to get us there. But our average typically falls in like the 15 to 18% range. And this heavily depends on who the speaker is, right? Because people will draw in a lot more if they're a much bigger name or if they're doing promotions. So that's something that we can try to have some control over. But at some, it's a little bit out of our hands.
Yep.
But what's really interesting and important is your point around qualified conversion. So this is actually more of an important number for us when we look at the program. And in terms of like total registrations, about 50% of those are qualified conversions. And for attendees, we're usually in that like 40 to 50% range of qualified conversions who are attending. So that's really important for us to see, especially if they're coming back week after week and they're qualified or they're a target account. Like that. Those are the things that if we see those names on there, even if there's not a lot of people, but every single name who's there, and this is not the first time that they've come, that's a good sign for us.
Yeah. So what you said is out of 240 people on average, half of them, so let's say 120 of them are qualified conversions, meaning MadKudu, your own system, is predicting them to be a good fit prospect for you guys. And then what happens? Then what do you guys do from that point on? Like, what's the process there?
Yeah, from there. So we don't necessarily have like a sales follow-up for this program because, again, it's top of funnel, but we do surface what we call natural MQL. So again, leveraging our tool MadKudu to tell us who has had enough engagement, who not only that, but, ICP fit, what they're doing all holistically, on our site, in the tool, anywhere that we are doing event tracking. And obviously, like, the program is a part of that. So we're able to then, determine if people are natural MQLs and are ready to have a conversation with sales. At that point, we'll pass them over, and that's our handoff to sales. And of course, we're tracking influence pipeline, because there might be deals in play already where then they're attending a lot of these sessions, and it's only helping that conversation. So we've actually been able to influence about 700,000 in pipeline in the last 2 quarters.
So these are basically people that were already in your pipeline and they were having discussions with sales, but this content sort of moved them further down the funnel, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and some of them are net new. They, it just kind of depends. But some may have been in conversation, some may have been net new, and this kind of either kickstarted or influenced the conversation in some way, but definitely had an impact.
Amazing. I mean, $700,000 is a non-insignificant number, because, that's in 2 quarters, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. So what's the ultimate goal, Hana, for this series? Like, what's from your perspective, director of demand gen, what's the goal for you?
Yeah, I feel like it's two-pronged. I see it as a way for us to we don't want to infiltrate the marketing ops community. We want to facilitate any of the conversations that are happening. We want to align ourselves with the thought leaders and the existing communities and work with them. So this is a way for us to start those relationships and build that trust and education within that community. And that's big for us. That's a huge goal. Secondarily, and again, like you'll hear me constantly talk about relationships, but this is also a really great way for us to start building relationships with individual champions that we can pick out, whether that be people from our target account list or individuals, like I mentioned, that we just see kind of surging and are really a great fit for MadKudu and potentially ready to talk to us. So building those relationships, both from a prospect perspective, but also from, a community perspective and a partnership perspective. And that will then, go downstream and we'll start to see qualified conversions. We'll start to see more demos booked. We'll start to see more customers coming from this program. But like the main focus is relationships.
Understood. And are you guys doing anything from an SEO perspective after the content is created? So after you record it, I see anyone can view, past sessions, but do you transcribe the text and create a blog with key high-level insights that were shared or anything like that?
Yeah. So we host everything on Wistia, and that's kind of like our past episodes channel. We're honestly still experimenting in that. We're a small, little, mighty, scrappy team. So this is kind of like, we're always looking for ways to optimize. And I am hiring right now, and whoever that amazing person is, I hope can, help us further optimize a program in just that way that you're speaking about. But yeah, we try to do blogs. We always do snippets that we can kind of like, how can we just distill some of that information and get it out on channels in a way that people can consume it easier. And yeah, SEO, like that's going to be our next move for sure.
Totally makes sense. And this has been one of your brainchild, right? Like after you joined, like you sort of came up with this idea and ran with it.
Yes, this is my little baby. Well, I shouldn't say mine. It's our team's little idea. And yeah, it's wild. We weren't sure how it was going to do. And here we are. And now we're just looking for ways to expand it. And, can we do a panel? Can we do a live marketing ops confession as things open back up? Like, how can we work with partners to constantly be bringing it into other things and making it bigger and bigger? And I will say, as a little teaser, we have been working really hard on an ebook that is derived from the series and taking a lot of the insights from all of our amazing guests, and that will be coming out soon.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, like, you definitely get so much insights. It makes sense to come up with more content from it. Roughly, if you had to say, Hana, how much time of much of your time on a weekly basis would you spend on this?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I actually have this documented because we were thinking about like, okay, how can we scale this? Like if we were to bring somebody on board, like how much time is this taking up? And I mean, it varies. And we've been able to streamline it so much, which is fantastic. But I would say it's still, easily in the like 8 to 10 hour mark,
every week?
Depending on like who the speaker is, and this is just one person like running everything. So if I'm running promotions, I'm managing ads, I'm, in communication with the speaker, getting our host prepped, running all the logistics for the actual event. And all the follow-up, which we didn't really talk about either. And I'm thinking more so operationally too, doing anything on the marketing ops side. So I would say it's almost a modest estimate, but yes.
Wow. So about 25% of your time is spent on making sure that this is as successful as it is. That's amazing. Wow. Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing all these insights and specific data points, tactics, and this was fascinating. I mean, I personally took a lot, and I know I'm going to have a chat with our marketing manager, Olivia, just discussing how we can, take some of these learnings and implement on our stuff. But man, thank you so much, Hana. This was fascinating.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.